Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. Again, for those who don't know, but I guess if you're here, you know who I am. I'm Asha-Ali. This is my channel. I was so eager to get some information out for you guys that I decided to go ahead and get a video done for you guys. This video, I'm just gonna be a brief introduction about who I am. First off, I'm gonna tell you guys that this is not legal advice. I do not give legal advice. And if you wish to seek legal advice, then you need to go seek a legal attorney. Asha-Ali is my natural name. That's my name in private. You guys will get that a little bit more as you guys study and we go through, the strategies of educating everybody of what goes on in the law. And don't mind me, I'm just looking down because I got some notes because I got some things that I actually want to cover. So as far as schooling goes, I'm a college graduate. Graduated from the University of Northern Iowa, so I have a bachelor's from there. Mainly what I'm going to be studying and talking about on my channel is law. I've studied the common law. I've studied equity. I've studied contract law, trust law, the Constitution. We'll talk about that a little bit, and then Declaration of Independence. I've studied that. Magna Carta. There are a lot of documents out there that we can mention. The indigenous rights. So there's a lot of documents out there that I've actually studied that I'll be introducing to you guys to help set precedents in some of the things we'll be speaking on here. How long have I been studying? I've been studying this for about 10 years now. I probably have about a good 5 to 7 years of actual field research and tested strategies. So I've been in the courtroom before. So there's a lot of people that I've listened to that I can tell that have never been to a courtroom. But I've been in a courtroom before. Okay. Next, how did I get into this study? And this is probably be the main portion because this is how you will get to know my passion for my reasoning behind this. So, like I said, I'm a college graduate. I was probably about a junior in college when I realized that there was something wrong with the law. I'm going to school just like everybody else. I'm trying to live the American dream or whatever. Things were going just fine, I guess. I wasn't really reading very much, and I managed to make it through college 3 years to be a junior still, and I didn't read any of the books to that point. So in my third year, at the end of my third year, I started having legal problems with my with child custody. I won't get all the way into details because it's private, and I really don't want to talk about it as much. But me and the mother of my firstborn weren't getting along, and we didn't agree on like a lot of things when it came to my child. So I ended up finding myself in a courtroom. Prior to that, I was paying child support, and I was active. I was in my daughter's life. She was with me more than 50% of the time. So I was really ignorant about how the court really went. Nobody taught me about anything as far as like custody goes or child support. I kind of just went into everything blindly. I had my child, and before you know it, I received papers and didn't know how to handle those papers and ignored them, and led me to, court for custody and child support. So while I'm in my fourth year in college, I'm a senior, I'm questioning everything. Because at this point, I'm trying to figure out, like, man, I did everything right. Like, I was there for my daughter. I took care of her. I provided. How could I be losing custody? Why am I have to pay money when, she's with me all the time, and I got to spend money when she's with me? She has her own room at my house. She has her own clothes. I really couldn't understand it from a physical or a spiritual point of view. So that sent me down a rabbit hole um, for like religious studies and the law because I couldn't understand it, and I couldn't afford a lawyer, and I found myself in a custody battle. So I can't tell you right now like what brought me completely to the videos that I started watching, but something um kind of snapped and changed my approach. First, what happened was is that last year in college, even while I'm going through this trauma of losing my daughter, um, she was my motivation to graduate. So to rewind a little bit, I actually took a couple years off of college in between my junior and my senior year. So I was coming back to finish up. Um, and I only had 1 year's worth of financial aid left, but I was going to do this. So that whole year, I had 20 credit hours each semester, over 20 credit hours each semester. I was taking over 5 classes. And then I had to do 2 summer classes in order to get all the credits I needed to graduate. But my motivation was my firstborn, my only daughter at that time. And um, so I get this chance to have this because I mean, I'm a senior, so I get to take some electives and stuff. It wasn't really even in my in the college that I was in because I started out in business college. And then because in my first 3 years, I wasn't really focused as much and I was partying like everybody else in college. Um, I ended up changing my major twice. I changed from business to PR to marketing. And then I just ended up getting general studies with an emphasis in business communication and psychology. So with that being said, I got the chance to pick some electives, and I ended up picking a business law class for my first semester because I think I had to have that one. So I won't say that one was an elective. I had to have a business law one class. So in that class and in all the classes that I had that semester, I read all the books. Literally. Whatever the reading assignment was that the teacher put out for me, I read it. I wanted an A. And even when my 3 years when I was slacking and I didn't read any books, I thought I was supposed to get an A then. I was even mad. I couldn't understand why I didn't get A's. And every last one of those teachers said to me, "Did you read the book?" Yeah, I skimmed through it. It's like, and he was like, and they would go through the test that we were taking and they would come to and say to me, like, "Look, this question right here, everybody missed it. You want to know why?" Why? Because that was a question that I only left for the people that read in the book. You would only got that answer from the book. So when I asked you, do you read? And you can't tell me you read. And it was a teacher that was just honest with me. You can't tell me you're reading because I know who's reading and who's not. If you do not read, this was a jewel that they gave me at my last semester in my junior. If you don't read, you're only going to get 70% on this test, less than that. If you don't read in this class, you're not going to get more than 70-80% in this class. I know that because I only put 70% of the material that I put in class in our lectures, and the other 30% is in the book. So without going too much further into that, when I came back, I read the books. And I had a workload. I had real estate at the time, I had business law, I had something else that was really hard, statistics or something. These were not easy classes. I had to retake statistics because I took that my first semester. So these were not easy classes at all, but I read the books. And in each one of my classes, I didn't get anything less. I think the lowest grade I got was might have been a C plus, and that was in my real estate class because I ended up slacking only because the teacher came to me after my first 2 tests and our first quiz. I aced them. The teacher came to me and said, "Who did you work with on these assignments and on these?" Because the quizzes and stuff, they were in class quizzes that we got to do with groups. Me, I just did them by myself. And he was like, who'd you work with on these things? I said, nobody. He said, no, you have to work with somebody. And I'm like, why? He was like, that's just a part of the group. So I'm giving you in-class participation from working with people. So I was like, all right. So what happened was is I ended up getting in a group. But then what happens when you get in a group by psychology, somebody's going to, ease up. So I slacked a little bit because I had other members who were going out doing this part of it. And we only came together for the final answer. So I didn't always understand it in entirety. So I ended up losing the concept of everything. And I felt a C plus was the lowest grade I had the whole year. I had a 3.3 or 3.4. I graduated with a 3. For that last year. I didn't lose under a 3 point. Let's just keep it that way. So in reading this law book, business law book, and I still have this business law book. It's not here because I'm not at home, but I'll show it to you guys on one of my other lives. But in reading this same business law that I bought and never took back, in there it has a section for just like statutes, common law, because this is a business law book. It's going to focus majority on business, but it still has to give you, just like anything, you have to understand the history of something. You have to understand the history of it, or you're not going to understand it. So it had to break down the history of law in order to get how it got to business law. So I got some history on law. I got common law was in there. Natural law was in there, which when you start speaking this stuff to lawyers and stuff, they're going to tell you you're crazy, but it's in a law book that I got from school. It was very brief and short, though. But all these different things were in there in the Constitution, and it even talked about criminal law a little bit. And I was raising my hand in class, and I was like, my teacher would be like, what's going on? I'd be like, okay, so it said in the book that we have a right to privacy. If they pull over your vehicle, they're not supposed to be able to search your car unless they have probable cause. And he's like, yeah, that's true. I was like, where I come from, they search your car all the time for nothing. And he's like, really? The teacher's a lawyer. So he's like, really? I was like, yes. I don't get pulled over where I'm from without getting searched. That's a part of the protocol. How is this says this in this book, and how is they doing that? And he was like, I don't know. He said, but they're not supposed to do it. So you can tell that he had to live in the same area where I was from, but not in the predominantly, for lack of a better term, black neighborhood that I stayed in. He just didn't have to deal with it as much. They don't pull them over for nothing like that over there. Because he's like, that doesn't work over here. I've never seen that. So once I kind of had that moment, I was like, dang, something's going on. And at the time that I'm still going through this custody. So the next semester, when I get a chance to pick my classes, like I said, by the way, in that law class, I got a A minus, and I was mad. I was upset about it. And the teacher was like, I know you worked hard. He said, he was just like, I did the best that I could to get you that A minus, But I think, I don't know where I kind of went wrong, but that first class was kind of like a little shaky. So I go to take business law 2, and I picked the same teacher. And I think I got an A minus or a B plus only because I was late to class some of the times. And which was enough that he called me out a couple times, and I stopped being late because this college, I always was late. I'm sorry. I lived in the dorms. The people that live in the dorms know if you know, you late. So I was late to that class, and he got on me, and I didn't like it, but I respected him as a teacher. He was just like, don't come in here late. Don't come at all. And I was like, first I'm like, I paid for this shit. I was about to cuss him out. But then I thought about it on a professional level. I said, you're right. I'm not going to come at all if I don't come, if I'm late. And I didn't come some days. But when I was there, I was on time, and I sat in the front. That's the reason why he was really mad about me coming in late, because then he told me one day when I was coming and asking for extra help, he's like, well, you sit right in the front. So, you coming in late is not going to be a good look for you. So I started being on time by the end of the semester, and I got a B plus A minus only because of me being late. Like I said, I got to the second business law. Then this time I'm thinking, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to go to school to be a lawyer. So I took a juvenile law class. And like I said, just so happened I'm going through custody case anyway. So I'm learning from a judge in a juvenile in juvenile law. We had an actual judge that was actually practicing at the time as our teacher. So I'm learning everything it has to do with like custody and history on that. And then I went through my business law 2 class, and I'm learning everything again about business, and even more on a more in-depth extent. Same teacher. I'm there every day on time. I'm sitting in the front. This same teacher wouldn't even allow me to raise my hand no more, because every time I raised my hand, I had to answer. And he was always asking questions like, let somebody else. I had an A+ in that class when I left that class, just to end that story. So after I get all this studying in and I've learned all this stuff about law and I can't understand what's going on, somehow I'm on YouTube and I come across somebody's talking about common law, natural law. And that kind of sent me down the rabbit hole to where I was. But the one thing I will tell you, that this stuff is it will harm you if you don't understand it. So because I'm always a jump in, dive first, head first person, when I all I needed to know that it was things that was wrong, and that it wasn't right, and I just started standing up immediately, and I couldn't stop myself. So when I ended up going to I didn't end up going to the custody case, because I found out that I wasn't obligated to have the show, and they gave away full custody without me there. And I did write them and tell them that I had God-given rights and stuff like that, because that's all I had learned at the time. And I thought that was going to help me in the custody case, because it helped me in some of my prior traffic cases. But I just learned to realize that some of the you might get in front of one of these people or magistrates that just don't want to deal with it, don't want to deal with you. And it's just like, so it's not that I had actually figured out what I needed to to prevail every time, because the same thing didn't work every time. So after I started doing a little bit more research, after I lost this case, I lost custody, I'm hurting, I'm not able to see my child. They're literally like ransom. They're literally holding her from me. And so I stopped working. I said, fuck this. I'm not going to work if I can't see my child. I'm not going to work and give you guys money if I can't see my child. Pretty much F you. Then what they did was, instead of reducing my child support, they just kept it at the same amount. And then they actually told me that they weren't going to reduce it because I had voluntarily quit my job. And that's what made me understand that I learned that I was a slave at that point. Because if it's like, hold on, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that I can't even quit a job that I'm working, that I'm not happy at, because you're taking child support from me? And if I do, you're not going to reduce it because I voluntarily quit? That just didn't sit well with me. I had to go through, I was forced into this because I didn't have enough money for a lawyer. So for 7 years, the next 7 years, I would spend reading these books and trying to get my rights back to my child, but never being able to fully understand what was going on, because I'm dealing with trauma at the same time. I don't know if I look at it this way. I don't believe that a woman would fathom, and I hate to divide us, but I don't believe that a woman would fathom being without their child, because they spend every moment with them when they come out, So I felt like that same position. I had spent every moment with my daughter when she, every doctor's appointment, every field trip, everything she had going on, every first day of school. There's not a picture that I'm not there. I'm there. I'm super dad. And then to lose all of that, and to have to tell them that just because that I don't believe the way y'all believe, that I got to have supervised visitations with my daughter for no reason. My daughter was never a child in need of assistance, which I'll tell you about that. It's called a China. So I just, like, I just couldn't understand it. So, like I said, it sent me on this big journey. Um, um, I don't know how else I would have even been woke up, so to speak. If I had no other reason to start reading this stuff, I wouldn't have. But my daughter meant the world to me, so I had to spend every other time that I didn't, when I wasn't trying to provide for myself and my family, to try to figure out how that I was going to get custody and remedy for my child that I couldn't see. So after 7 years of not being able to see my child, fortunately enough, things worked out where I was able to see her son, but it still didn't. It wasn't the court that made that possible. So it took for me to get in. It took for me a lot um, to get involved in this, and that's why I'm giving you guys my story so you understand my passion behind this. Like, I sacrificed, everything for the for knowledge. I didn't expect this. This is not, I would have never sacrificed and gave up my daughter for this. But if I wouldn't have had that situation happen, I wouldn't have ever become enlightened to the things that I know now. And I wouldn't be able to protect myself like I am now. I wouldn't even have took this much effort to protect my own self. I'm not a career criminal, but of course we all got tickets and things like that. I never thought about opening up books to defend myself, but when they took my daughter from me and they were ruining my life by taking everything that I had, I had a I had a I had bought a CD. I was at a bank and I made a CD with my daughter's name on it and was putting money on it so that she would have something when she graduated. Child support came and took the CD before I even it made too much money. I think I had it about a year and boom. Why would y'all do that if it had her name on it? It was obviously for her. I couldn't touch it. But I couldn't understand how they had that much power. I went to the bank like, how y'all my bank? And child support come in and touch a CD and take it from me. Could I have cashed that CD? No, you couldn't have. How could not cashed it and took it? But child support had authority over me or my bank account to be able to cash and take my money. And it was for my daughter, the one who you actually took. You gave it to her through child support. So yeah, they had took me to the bare minimum, of my emotionally, like I don't think nobody can understand. It's traumatizing to have to be without your own flesh and blood. For a good father, for a father that's active, it hurts just as much as it would if a mother would have to be without their child who really cares. I'm not talking about the deadbeat people, the people that can go and don't care about their children. I never was that. I had a bad lifestyle. So as a child myself, so I always promised that I would do better for my children. That was one thing that I had to break with my firstborn, that it was forced on me and I couldn't believe it. And it's fucked me up emotionally. This state owes me a lot of money for what the pain that it's caused me for taking that away from me when they didn't have a right to do that. Okay, so that's where I get my passion from, is that I actually went through this myself. It gave me the drive to start reading. I couldn't afford a lawyer, so I had no choice. And in the middle of that, I ended up beating a lot of cases for myself. I saved myself. I beat a lot of cases for people close to me. There are some that are harder than others. And again, there's sometimes that you'll just get a court administrator, or whatever you want to call them, that'll sit there and just don't want to deal with it. So you get lucky, and some of them are stubborn. So what my purpose is. So my passion comes from, being hurt myself, being traumatized, like you guys will never understand it. Like, I can tell you about the nights of crying and, the pain that I suffered not being able to be with my daughter. After spending 7 full years with her, completely involved in everything that she do, just get snatched away. So my purpose now is to help and educate other people. Um, I would It would make me feel better to not have to even watch other people go through this type of trauma that I've already went through. Um, it's not fair. And I think that everybody deserves the opportunity to be able to help themselves. I didn't have anybody there to help me out with this when I needed it. And to be completely honest with you, when I wasn't like in tune and then when I wasn't reading, if somebody would have told me the same thing that I'm telling you guys, I probably wouldn't have believed them. So I had to be in a position that I would be able to listen. So my purpose is, like I said, to educate, to help other people, to build a community, to so that we can all, beat this thing together. Like, I'm not the only one dealing with this. I'm not the only one dealing with unjust laws and losing your loved ones to this system. So my purpose is to help, to build strong people, to build a better country, because we need this. Lastly, for everybody, I am not anti-government. I'm not a sovereign citizen. Um, I'm just a man. I don't hate anybody. I'm not preaching hate. I'm just here for educational purposes. I appreciate you all for being here. And like I said, we'll do a more in-depth Q&A on another video that I'll try to do. I'll let you guys ask some questions or something. But this was just a little video for you guys to get familiar with who I am, and what got me involved in this and what my purpose was. Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification so that way you're notified the next time I drop another banger. Peace.